That is why they are so fervent. TV with your host, Jeff Charles.
Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
Hello and welcome to Right On, where we tackle the issues of the day from the right perspective. Investigations, and more investigations. This is what we can expect from House Republicans in 2023. In fact, they have already started to look into issues like the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, the migrant crisis, the FBI, and a host of tasty goodies. But will these investigations actually lead anywhere? Well, I have with me Liberty Nation's senior political correspondent, Tim Donner, to give us a skinny. Welcome to the program, Tim.
Always a pleasure, Jeff.
Yeah, this will be fun. This kind of goes in line with what you and I have been talking about over the past, God knows, it feels like a decade, but it's only been like a year that we've been talking about this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I think that the answer to your question is it'll produce a lot and not much. And what I mean is it'll produce a lot because there's so many scandals that they'll be investigating. The border crisis, which is metastasized over the Biden presidency, the debacle of the withdrawal from Afghanistan and the needless death of 13 American servicemen, social media censorship in collusion with the Democrats, the Twitter files we see, the origins of COVID-19. That's another subject for them. Not to mention, this is where we've come, Jeff. They will now have a committee to investigate the January 6th committee, a committee to investigate a committee. And of course, they will have their own role in the metastasizing classified document scandal, though they'll be cut down to some degree by the fact there's a special counsel, so that there's limits to what they'll be able to do with that, but they'll have plenty to occupy their time. Kevin McCarthy came out guns a-blazing the day after Republicans clinched the House majority, and he laid out over a dozen criminal charges against Joe Biden potential charges that they will be investigating heavily. So yes, a lot will happen, but no, because the media is not interested in it.
Yeah, and I want to get to that. I mean, but it's pretty clear that to anybody who likes political theater, you're going to have a really good show over the next couple of years, definitely. It's almost like it's going to be like what the Democrats were doing on steroids. But what now? In response, the Democrats and members of the chattering class, the activist media, they are already labeling these investigations as being politically motivated, and we can expect to see that ramp up.
Imagine
too.
that!
Yeah, right.
Imagine that. In politics, you have an investigation that's politically motivated. That's shocking, Jeff.
And it's like they pick up the phone. They're like, "Hello, pot? Yeah, this is the kettle. You're black." Anyway,
I like that.
Now, but here's the thing. I mean, when they label these things as politically motivated, whether they're right or not, do you think that this is going to stick, or is it really going to matter?
Well, I think we got an indication of how the big box media is going to play this right out of the gate, because the day that McCarthy revealed that, and he wasn't speaker yet, but they figured that he would be, and of course he eventually did become speaker, all of those charges, which, as I wrote in my article on LibertyNation.com, was best expressed by Dana Perino on Fox News. She called the allegations against the potential crimes being investigated against Biden like a double shot of espresso, because that's how long the list and how serious the list of crimes are that they will be investigating. So, I mean, look, of course it's politically motivated. These things always are politically motivated, but there's also two other factors. And that is the necessity to do so, because there's so many things that have gone without investigation, of course, in the first 2 years of the Biden presidency, because the Democrats have controlled the entire mechanism of the federal government. So there is necessity on all these things. I mean, we have to find out about the border. We have to find out what the truth is about Afghanistan. Maybe we'll finally get something about the Wuhan lab without it being covered up like it was by the Democratic majority before. But let's be honest, too. They're doing this also partly out of revenge for the 4 years that they have had to suffer under Democrats in a constant state of investigation and impeachment of Donald Trump. So this is, I hate to say it, actually I don't, because it expresses it the best, but for Biden and the Democrats, especially now with the document dump, payback is a bitch. And that's what they're going to get plenty of over the next 2 years.
Yeah, I think so. And you know, and it's a good point, because it could be two things can be true at once. It's politically motivated and it's not also necessary. But here's a question before I get to my next one. I mean, there are so many investigations, Tim, that I lost count. Do you think there might be a risk of oversaturating the market, so to speak, or maybe giving the American people too much to where they just tune out?
Yes. And I think that they have to be, let's put it this way, you know, this is a weird analogy, but I'll use it anyway. There's an expression about someone who's been married multiple times. They say is a serial monogamist, right? One woman at a time, but many women in the long run. And I think the Republicans sort of have to look at it that way. They have to focus on one investigation at a time in terms of releasing information to the public. You can easily get information and scandal overload. But that didn't seem to be a problem for Donald Trump, did it? Because the scandal overload lasted for 4 years and beyond. So they have to do it cleverly, and they have to do it wisely. They can't just dump everything at once because people won't be able to process it. So there is a serious risk of that, but I think they're probably, Kevin McCarthy is nothing if not a skilled politician. And I think he's obviously aware that they can't overload it.
Yes. I mean, say what you want about Kevin McCarthy. He does know politics and he knows what he's doing. But if and when these investigations turn up evidence of, let's say, criminal malfeasance, I mean, we've seen this movie before, right? I mean, do you think that there will be any accountability? Will any heads roll? Or what do you think might come of this?
Well, it's amazing that, you know, it seemed to be, and this happens in politics, a day is as a year and a year is as a day. Because up until the first of the 4 discoveries of classified documents being stashed by Joe Biden, he had had a pretty good run, hadn't he? The Democrats did better in midterm elections than he thought. His approval numbers at least reached the low to mid 40s, and he sort of felt the wind at his back. Now, this suddenly shuts it down with each subsequent revelation. And the problem for him really is that he might have been able to get out of this without a special counsel, but for the fact that a special counsel had been assigned to Trump for his classified document problem. So really, Merrick Garland had no choice, for optics, if nothing else, to appoint a special counsel. But a guy running for president with a special counsel on his back, let's just say, you know, these things aren't wrapped up quickly. So this is going to hang over his head. There's going to be the hypocrisy issue of how outraged Democrats were about Trump. And now, well, it's not the same thing. I mean, Biden isn't the same kind of guy as Trump. We all know he's a scoundrel and a liar, and Biden's a nice guy. So, none of that's really going to help him. And so he's painted himself back into a corner where, importantly, his ability to stand on the moral high ground has certainly been compromised.
Yes, it definitely appears that way. It's almost like, I mean, if they were planning to use those classified documents against Trump, Biden kind of just tanked that, because now they
Yes.
can't, or else they'll be revealed as hypocrites. But in your article on Liberty Nation, you suggest that the media won't entertain the results of these investigations. You also point out that the subjects of the investigations probably won't respond to subpoenas, and it doesn't seem likely that anybody's going to get arrested. So aside from the politics of it all, what, if anything, do you think will be gained from all of these investigations?
Well, big media pretty much revealed their whole card, so to speak, in poker terms. The day that McCarthy announced that they were going to go heavy after Joe Biden with all these potential criminal charges, instead of covering the fact that the Republicans were going after a sitting president on very serious criminal felonious charges, their entire coverage was about how the Democrats are calling it politically motivated, and how the likes of David Brock are assembling an independent defense of this president. In other words, they're not even covering the cause of it. They're only covering that the Democrats are fighting back against Republican scandal mongering, right? So their point is that they're going to look at the defense and pay no regard to the offense here. And I think that, look, they felt the obligation to put Joe Biden into office, did big media, and they similarly feel the obligation, you can be sure, to keep him in office, with the likes of a Ron DeSantis or a Glenn Youngkin or even a Donald Trump running against him. His chances, look, Fox News Print just did a story. They interviewed 36 people of differing political backgrounds, and out of those 36, only one said they wanted Joe Biden to run again.
Wow.
So, see, that kind of stuff's going to start coming up again. His age is going to start coming up. His inability to complete a sentence. All of this stuff is going to start coming up again, like it did at the beginning and middle stages of his administration so far. And he's got no answers to it, really. And Gavin Newsom has already dropped out for 2024. Kamala Harris can't run.
Supposedly, he dropped out for 2024. Yeah.
But being a politician, Jeff, I'm sure he'll never change his mind. That's set in stone that he's not going to run. But Kamala Harris can't run. So the Democrats are pretty much going to be stuck with Biden unless they find a good excuse to take him out, like a health crisis or something, which, of course, the mainstream media will soak up and report as fact. So I think it seemed for sure, and I wrote about it, that Joe Biden would definitely run for re-election because of what happened in the midterms, and he took it as a mandate for him to continue doing what he's done. I think that whole thing has been compromised now. I don't think this means that he's not going to run, but I think the circumstances are now reverting more to what they were before the midterms, when Biden was so widely unpopular, than now when his approval numbers have recovered somewhat.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are definitely in for some interesting and tumultuous times coming up over these next couple of years. That is for sure. But we'll be keeping an eye on it here at Liberty Nation, and I'm sure we'll be talking at length about a lot of these investigations, Tim. So thanks for joining the program.
Always a pleasure, Jeff.
And remember, this show is proudly sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news and analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. Just go to LibertyNation.com on your browser, or hit Rumble, YouTube, or check out our Liberty Nation News Roku channel. I'm Jeff Charles. Thank you so much for watching. This program is a production of LibertyNation.com, where truth is making a comeback.
Entertaining, informative, and just plain fun. Watch Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5. produced by conservatives for conservatives. C5's The Left Free Zone, hosted by Liberty Nation's Lisa K. Donner, joined by a raucous, irreverent panel of authors, deconstructing leftist narratives, debating the hot topics, and remembering to laugh.
You heard it here first.
Join the official conservative safe
You only
space.
did that to piss Jeff off.
Liberty Nation's The Conservative Five.
That is why they are so fervent. TV with your host, Jeff Charles.
Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.